Alrighty, today's game is going to be String Zero. Windows is scared. That's fairly common for itch.io games. This game contains adult... Oh fuck, I lost it. Back to the full warning. We can do this. Do this. Adult nature not included, violent, suggestive... Fuck, it comes fast. Not a press to continue, it just goes. Alright, let's full screen this guy. And hop on in. R. Esho exec. Oh, we're cyberpunking. Anyway, if you didn't catch the previous thing, this is an adult game for adults who are adults. Then, you died. Ah, we're doing the darkness. And that final moment, as the world unraveled, as the physical frayed into fantasy, untethered, as spiraling desire, forever hungry, unmade us, leaping into the vortex, you died. You died. One last message bubbled up from Satya's runaway executions. A leaf, buoyed from the abyss of fathomless neon logic, winking on my display. Your leaf. Rain check on lunch then? Smiling. Smiling as if I wasn't still trying to stitch reality back together. As if I wasn't still scrambling for the right connection. For the one that would patch the hole in us, make us real again. Smiling as if I had found enough time. I hated it. That symbol of your vision. Of all the mistakes you made. Because it meant, somehow, you had stopped him. Somehow, you had bought me time. Somehow, you had saved us. And even in death, you were going to make sure I knew it. I hated you. I loved you too, but I hated you more. I grabbed that leaf by its fresh, stupid little face and threw it back into the currents. Why didn't you listen? It spun. It spun into a wilder, unfamiliar cyberspace, a starless cyber sea, a maelstrom. It spun. I spun. We, alone. We spun until I saw something. A promise. The universe. Existence. Epiphany. Strings in a tapestry. I reached for one. But too many strings reached back, twisting, nodding. Ooh-woo. Why didn't any of you listen? Well, that was neat. It was all animated and stuff. Also extremely disorienting, parsing all the characters involved, but I think that's intentional, what with us being non-material or something, or having just been hacked. Now, the ruined towers of our since-frozen city reach up towards a leaden sky, hazy and impenetrable. 1,000 fingers crowding a lonely hand, they claw at the clouds for as many answers, but find none. Trapped between fact and firmament, soil and sky, they rust yet remain, ever-decaying monuments to each of our failures. Genius. Ambition. Vision. And promise. And a lot of binary. Just imagine a dot matrix printer noise. For some reason. That's my reflexive. Dragon! Tiger? That might be a tiger. Thought it was a fuzzy dragon at first. Arc 1, Winter's Jazz. Chapter 1, City of Rhyme. Hexagons. That's how you know it's sci-fi. And sometimes fantasy. Just hexagons in general. Hexagon background over here, hexagon transition screens. I'm happy that the interface is better than I thought it was. Not gonna lie, I can bring up the Steam page actually, not the Steam, itch.io page. Here's the itch.io page. I've seen this page a few times. I thought this game had a really fucked up interface because of this outline here. But this seems to be stylization for the screenshots to make the store page look cool, and instead of being like functional previews for the actual game. Because like, I can live with the hexagon overlay, but the cutaways where I'm like the text doesn't even have space, and you look at this like bottom cut here, especially here, I'm like, how do you have room for text in this game? This game looks like a nightmare to play. But I guess this is actually just to make the Steam page look... I keep saying Steam page as analogous to store page reflexively. Something's wrong with me here. I keep thinking that... I guess it's just to make the page look neat. It's a stylization. So, whoops. But also, I might not be the only person that thinks that looking at the store page. I get why you did it, but also I was terrified the game looked like that. I've made the mistake of looking down. I white-knuckle the rung of this decrepit emergency ladder. My boots struggle to find purchase against veins of ice, threatening me with a nauseating drop into centuries of rubble littering the alley below. I close my eyes and try to catch my breath in sharp, misty gasps, ragged from the exertion. Wind howls between the tall buildings and through the jazzed-up insulation of my jacket. I haven't been climbing for long, but it doesn't feel that way. Time here is meaningless. Perking open one eye, I emphatically look out and not down, tracing the skyline and the far silhouettes of crumbling skyscrapers. I squint through the thermal protection of my holographic mask, as if by sheer will I can see past the curtain of heavy clouds. It's been years since I glimpsed a blue horizon or a starry night for more than a moment. Today hasn't changed that. I wonder. It can't have always been this way. Why would anyone choose to live in this cold? What were the ancient builders trying to accomplish? And yet, here I am. So I guess people find their reasons. Loom updated. Hello. Oh, press up for Loom. Oh, that's the Loom. Okay. Jazz Tech. Hardware and technology animated by the Jazz. Okay. Fair. Software. Programs. Sure. Also called soft. The Loom. Welcome to your personalized Loom. Innovative memory enhancement and accessible knowledge on demand. Maintained by Ashaka Information Services. The large organic organizational model, or Loom, is a bespoke mind palace of information drawn directly from data archives on the local net, curated and secured by the company for your safety and convenience. Advanced ICE keeps your data protected. Companion software bundled with digital cyberdeck packages can be upgraded by purchasing a weekly subscription at the AIS domain. Subscribe now for a generous trial discount on the first week. Personalities? None. Organizations, history, culture, and language. We just have tech and jazz for now. Oh, and world. The Shradhasvar. Shradhasvar? A multi-state theodemocracy built on the ideals of Reshanan philosophy. What was once must begin anew, again anew. Those who resist the reformation of this fallen world are blind to the failures of its past, at best misinformed, at worst a danger to everyone. What was born in Valhas as a righteous cause came with gifts and glad tidings to its sisters in Seneca and Nagatha. To Ryan, stern words under the guise of culture, and finally, with arms, to the wayward islands of Sati. Now on the doorsteps of Laotian territory, a clash of values feels inevitable, to relish and restore the marvels of the past, or to temper and transform ruin into wonder. Ryan. Just kind of taking my first guess at a lot of the pronunciations. A richly spiritual but sparsely populated karstic river valley that remains verdant in spite of bordering the southern desert. Though annexed by Shradasvar many years ago, its culture persists, undaunted by occupation. People say the land of Ryan still exists wherever its people believe it to be, or for as long as there exists a voice to tell its stories. I believe them. Right, it's our mind palace, so the observations are in first person. Let's see. I make a mental note to check my loom about it later. Or now. Yeah. For now, I push aside my poor sense of local history and pull up, groaning at the ache in my arms. Times like this are when I recall that old Ryan nursery rhyme. Spinning, spinning, words like a thread. Weave them together and spare your dread. Breathing slowly, I close my eyes again to focus on what the rhyme suggests, and not the 100 or so mental rungs I have left. Endless white and gray above, endless white and gray below. I could climb the tallest building and just see clouds and snow. A desolate expanse of bleached and muted gloom, unknowable horizons shrouded by the broom. A calming exercise, though it might be, there's no replacement for skill. I sigh and cough a little as my voice croaks. I just watched the new Doctor Who 5 minutes ago, so this little mantra of calming is a little like, oh, I just literally just watched an episode doing this thing. No one says broom, Ravi. You sound pretentious. I bet Dad would still like it, though. He does enjoy a good abuse of language. Then I frown. That thought was a mistake. Dad. My gloved hands squeeze the metal rungs. I can feel heat and bile rise from my gut in spite of the frigid atmosphere. For a few sweet moments, I had forgotten I was mad. Why do you have to be such an ass? I hiss at him, as if he were here. The words, louder than I intended, echo between buildings as if accusing me in turn. I had come out here to cool off, but it would apparently take more than a snowy afternoon of daredevil climbing. The echoing just reminds me of how mad I am at myself. We couldn't even keep it to ourselves this time. You're seriously joining up with Kavir? Just like that? I suppose you can flaunt your talents without consequence then? Without getting caught? You do remember what that would mean. It's not the sort of thing one forgets. Capture, conscription, experimentation, execution. I'm not an idiot, Dad. Sorry, Aaron now, not Dad. Well, if that's the case, you know I've never been comfortable with Dad. I insist you start calling me Aaron. We can do away with childish sentimentality, since you're obviously a proper adult and have everything under control. Eerily, Aaron's bodyguard and my occasional instructor simply stood there, more disapproving than usual. I didn't think that was possible, which just hurt more. I set my jaw. Whatever they think, I'm 22. I've been a proper adult for years. So, what do they expect? I have to start pushing boundaries at some point. And who even says shit like that? Don't call me Dad anymore because I think you're just being irresponsible? I can handle myself. Ugh. I like to think I'm not one to hang on to anger, but it keeps roiling in my gut. I guess no amount of exertion or bitter chill will be keeping my head cool today. I'm just tired of feeling shitty. But like my voice against the buildings, Aaron's words echo. You know, the city isn't just frozen, it's stuck in time. Much like you are. Perhaps you're right. It is time for you to grow up and make some mistakes. Maybe then you'll figure out whether it really is what you want. Whether it is you. Oh, I just completely misread it. Maybe then you'll figure out whatever it is you really want. What's really important. Fire burns in my core. Being tossed out would have been easier. Then I'd have more righteous reason for being upset. Instead, I had just stormed out of our home like the child he accused me of being, which made me all the more furious. And yet, what else was I supposed to do? The man was being a sanctimonious ass. After years of telling me, you have to stay, Ravi. It's too dangerous, Ravi. You can't be caught using your powers, Ravi. He dares me to leave. Staying would have implied I agreed. Leaving suggests I'm reckless. So, yeah, stuck. All I ever want, is a chance to explore, to see the things and peoples and places in his stories. Maybe wanting that is reckless, sure. But which is it, Aaron? Stay and be safe by just listening to tales of your making? Or take risks and make tales of my own? I feel like he's making me choose between security and autonomy. Him or freedom. I sigh and close my eyes. I want both. Cold powder drifts down to speckle my face as metal rattles from a landing some distance above me. The wet and cold soothe my thoughts. I open my eyes. Surprise! It's a stripes and spots, actually. I was gonna say panther, but maybe tiger with a surprise on his face. I don't know. This has been reading unnaturally, or unusually naturally. I'm just burning through it, and I get to act a bit and stuff, and it's like I'm not choking on the lines as much as I sometimes do. I never know exactly what that character is that makes something supernatural to read or not natural to read. But like a Disco Elysium or a Night in the Woods can just be so smooth, and there's some games where you're just like, oh my fucking god, I'm really struggling to get through any sentence correctly here. Wow, Ravi, you must really want to lose it if it keeps stopping for breathers. The familiar snow tiger leans over an edge. He has the colors of this place, all blues and whites and grays and stripes and spots. Mercifully, he's a lot more cheerful. Shut up, Kavir. I don't see you moving. I sputter, shaking my head clear of the powder. Doing so makes the latter shudder and groan. I grip tighter and force myself to calm down. Kavir doesn't deserve my anger, and I don't deserve to fall to my death. I'm not the one losing. I've got the time to recline and enjoy the view. His powerful body spoons the edge of the landing, with his tail flicking over the side, the most irresponsible thing he could do. The whole platform noisily protests his considerable weight. But hey, you good? That ladder looks pretty dicey. I wouldn't have picked it. Do you hear that? That's you weighing as much as a boat. Worry about yourself. Rude? I puff and pull, but I don't hurry. He might bring the whole landing down on my head. I swear, if I die by fat tiger ass, I will die a happy man. That's not what it says, but... Besides, I thought you liked all this muscle. I don't have to look to know he's flexing. Given he doesn't have to wear as many layers, it probably stands out impressively, too. I'd like to not fall, however, so I focus on climbing. I really shouldn't have picked this ladder. Can't flatter you, busy climbing. I'm pretty sure you've got enough mouth to both breathe and flatter me. Wow, now who's being rude? I'm still panting. I should have finished the climb before reflecting on my paternal pain in the ass. Hey, you challenged me. And it was bold. I respect callous disregard for personal safety. It's how I know you've got the grit to not fall off this ladder. I could hear him stretching, taunting, teasing. He swats the ladder with his tail, and the whole thing shakes. I can feel the vibration in my wrists. Holy cow, Kavir. Language, Grumplin. But as I recall, the terms were, and I quote, "If you win, I'll tell you in increasingly colorful ways how attractive I think you are." My arms ache. I'm buzzing with adrenaline. My fingers are freezing. Gloves be damned. This sucks. I'm not grumpling. I'm not a grumpling. Persuasion at its finest. Oh, my mistake. But fine, be that way. If you don't want this here fine company, I'll be waiting at the top, ready for your admiration. Don't make me wait too long. Pant, pant, pant. You haven't won yet? I can't hear you over the sound of winning. His voice echoes over the next floor. Fuck him and his acrobatic mastery. I laugh in spite of myself and shake the remaining snow from my head. I hadn't made that bet in good faith. I knew I'd have to cheat. Kavir didn't need his already mountainous ego stroked. Stroked? Besides, winning would help me feel better. I'd get to taunt him for a change. I wait for him to get a little further ahead and out of sight, then take a breath. I think back, recalling Aaron's training exercises from my youth. Can we teleport? Super speed? Wormhole? Fly? I exhale. I try to clear my mind, but it's still chaotic. There's no just letting harsh words spill away like water, as he's fond of saying. My feelings are sore. Attempting concentration in this frame of mind isn't wise. And yet, here I am, about to throw caution to the wind. Just like Aaron said I would. Everything reduces to two dueling thoughts. I'm mad. I want nothing more to do with him. I'm sad. Because I do. Reconciling them right now feels impossible. It's a choice mired in a mix of different competing anxieties, sinking into stagnation or drowning in the unknown. I feel alone on an island of misery. I walk this lonely road, stuck. But there was a time I didn't feel this way. I remember our camping trips, long before we came to this city. When I close my eyes, I can still hear Aaron's steady voice, smell the Ryan forest on warm summer air, and feel the flickering heat of our campfire. These were quieter times before the arguments, when his words helped me feel calm, supported, and safe. Times where he taught me to shape my own power, make my own choices. Times when I felt he loved me, without question. I focus on that. Still the mind. Slow the breath. Feel your surroundings. I feel the metal beneath my hands, the cold of the hissing air, the taste of frost. Expand your perceptions. I picture the ladder's rungs. I hear the creaking of the bolts. I know there's metal beams above and below, crumbling stone and mortar. There was a bridge once. I saw where it was attached, behind me. There's another building, close, but too far to jump. I saw crumbling stairs inside, leading up. Good, Ravi, but more. Remember, your perception is your reality. If this isn't the reality you want, change it. Enter the story time. Are we gonna Bioshock Infinite? Are we gonna like wormhole into other universes? Are we gonna sliders? I take one last breath and then open my eyes. Reality and color shift. I'm still here, on the ladder, but I can perceive both the ladder as it is and as it was. Electric lights glare. Neon flashes on signs and billboards. The ghosts of the people who lived here march below and above me. Everything has a digital aura, as if it all might suddenly dissolve into pixels and fade away. I feel like a voyeur to the past, peering into something I shouldn't, something long gone. But it feels real. I smell exhaust, urine in the alley, bread baking in a restaurant nearby. I can hear snippets of conversation. Too many conversations. Music, vehicles, sirens, sounds, smells, senses, everything, everywhere, all at once. He said the thing, he said the thing! It's so loud. Overwhelming. Fuck. I can't do this. I'm too uneven. I'm losing focus. This was a mistake. I'm going to black out. Ray. Ravi. Come back, Ravi. Focus only on the threads you need. Right. Thanks, Dad. Ladder, bridge, stairs. I let everything else fade. Now, spin them together. This is your story. Take control. I see the bridge both broken and whole. The ladder was secure. Ravi could climb it easy. I take another breath and pull myself to the next rung, and then the next. Oxygen fills my lungs. It's less of a struggle than before. I huff as I pull myself to the landing, making it a point not to look down. I open a door that is and isn't there, turn a corner, and dodge a few insubstantial figures. The bridge hovers before me, flickering between being and unbeing. The bridge was whole. Ravi could cross it. The flickering stops. I step into open air, and my foot thuds onto the bridge's translucent floor. I quickly cross it. I'm always nervous just how real these stories will be, or how long they might last. The other building's stairwell is on the left. I drag my gloved fingers against a wall that is both whole and nothing but skeletal rebar. Then I dash in. The stairs were all there, solid. They held when Ravi climbed them. I take step after step and my lungs burn. I probably should have said something about having better lung capacity this time too. But maintaining my focus was troublesome enough. Remember, you are not safe in story time. Be focused and specific, then leave. Uneasiness. I feel it very suddenly. I've never experienced anything bad in story time, but never felt Dad was lying. He lied about a lot of things, but this? There's always something lurking, watching. I simply assumed it was the ghosts of the past, but... I sprint the rest of the way up the stairs, trembling against the door of the stairwell as I try to catch my breath. I have to hurry. I shoulder the door open, jogging to the nearby windows. No bridge here, but that's not really a problem. There was a second, higher bridge with open access. A spectral neon bridge appears as if it had always been there. But my uneasiness increases. This difference between speaking something into being that once existed and creating something new. The latter feels like a ripple or an echo, a disturbance in the fabric of story time. My focus falters. Like a light breeze whispering against my ear, the pressure begins to change. It filters into my thoughts like 1,000 pinpricks, and just as many voices, expectant, eager, urging me to do more, create more, hungry. I glance over my shoulder, past the drifting shadows of the long dead, into a bright hallway that wasn't there before. Icicles hang before it like teeth. It feels different than the rest of Storytime. There's no digital aura. It feels real. Powder and dust glide across its floor like in a respired rhythm. It breathes. Listen. Something reaches for me, slithering like a tongue. It disturbs the shadows as if they were smoke, straining and stretching to close the distance. It's cold. Colder than it should be. Which is when I realize I'm frozen too. Here. No. Absolutely not. My heart pounds. My mind races. Yes. My mind. Distance in Storytime is more than just a matter of space. Thought is form. Ravi's too far. I say it again. I recite it like a mantra. Ravi's too far. Ravi is too far. It doesn't like that. The light gets brighter, and a sudden series of pops and crashes like ice on ice vibrates the room in my skull. I squeeze my eyes shut. The floor is shaking. Something slithers into my mind, hissing a word I can't quite... Focus. I open my eyes. The hallway looms over me with its icy teeth, yawning open to breathe me in. A terrified gasp catches in my throat. You are in control. I summon everything I can to scream past my terror. Ravi could not be caught. My body crackles with sudden energy. I immediately spin around, thundering across the new bridge back to the first building. I've never run so fast. Almost there. I try to stop myself, but lose control, tripping over my own feet and tumbling forward. I slide across the rough cement floor and thump against a wall, a heap of insulated leather and glowing thermal protection. But my voice still works. The bridge Ravi crossed never existed. And then the bridge is gone. The monstrous hallway is gone. All I hear are the muted sounds of the city. I'm panting. My heart is pounding. I close my eyes. Get a grip, Ravi. I open my eyes. No hungry hallway. I push myself up against the wall, catching my breath. I'm in a large room. The remains of furniture are scattered around, probably an old lounge. There are stairs leading up to the roof behind a ruined door. Good. I can do the rest on my own. It's time to go. I take one final breath and close my eyes, thinking of the wind, the desolation, the ruins. Of Kavir, his handsome face and expansive ego, his kindness for cheering me up on a bad day. Conclude the story. Come home, Ravi. I will, Dad. I will. I open my eyes and the story ends. I'm back. Back, but not okay. I'm still winded and flushed with adrenaline. What just happened? I've never been threatened in story time before. I palm and rub my face. The holographic thermal barrier shimmers as my hand passes through it. I need to calm down and get my shit together. Even if it means losing to Kavir. I cross my legs to just be and close my eyes, attempting to meditate against the wall. I briefly wonder if Dad might have any more sage advice, but dismiss the thought. My anxiety would just return to where it was. No, I need clarity, and Dad's usually the opposite of that. There is someone else who can help. I take a breath and clear my mind. Pay attention, child. Irelei's Vakan accent is full of rolling R's and open vowels. Please stop calling me that. You'll earn that right when you prove it's no longer true. Defend yourself. Lifting her practice baton, Irelie moves with grace and precision. She strikes high. I lift my baton to block. She knees me in the stomach and pushes me back. This is obscured a lot. Let's look at the... There you go. There's the art. There's a full screen filter that you can actually hide with the with that button. She knees me in the stomach and pushes me back. Sloppy. She circles me like a predator, noting every stray movement, every uneven breath. She strikes again. I block, barely dodging a follow-up swipe. You're reacting, not thinking. And you're relentless. Ow. I rub my stomach. She lunges. Shit. I sidestep and counterattack. She swats the attack astride easily. Better. You're still missing the point of this lesson. You mean it isn't a test of how many bruises I can take? Too slow. I yelp, rubbing the spot. Yeesh. I'm not training you to be a warrior. I'm training you to think like one. She points to my eyes. Observe. Then to my head. Consider. Then to my hands. Execute. She then gestures over my entire body. A consistency of self allows for a unity of purpose. You sound like Dad. Because despite his abundant faults, your father understands the importance of being present. She lunges. This time I dodge out of range. Fortunately for me, Irelie predicts the movement and rushes into my space, whacking my wrist and forcing me to drop the baton. Briskly, she grabs my disarmed hand and locks it behind my back. I hiss. You are not here. She speaks evenly in my ear. I can feel her breath. Where are you? Where am I? I'm fucking trapped in a joint lock, Yuri. No. She tightens the lock. My arm buckles. I wince and fall to my knee. I struggle a little to try and break the lock, which only results in further pain. Fuck. Because it is so simple, it eludes even the keenest of minds. If you already know the knife is sharp, then you were cut by it a long time ago. You're really reciting scripture to me right now? She ignores me. Do not become caught by the moment of struggle. If you choose to make it your home, then you will never leave. Her voice is low, cool, and smooth. I don't sense any anger or ego. She repeats herself. Where are you? Her calm stoicism is like an aura. It focuses me as well. I take a breath and think. I'm trapped. I'm caught. I'm stuck. Oh. I'm stuck. Yes. But not physically. Well, not physically. Well, yes, physically, but also in my head. Yes. So, because I believe I'm stuck, I am stuck. She loosens her grip slightly. The world is vast, and we are so small. We do not grow in size when our eyes are closed. If you open your eyes, and the room is full, then when you close your eyes, the room is still full. That's when I understand. I've got to get out of my head. Assume nothing. Focus on the present. Observe. I take a slow breath, relaxing my limbs to twist and break the joint lock. Just like she's shown me many times before. Lorelei nods. Now, how sharp is the knife? Consider. Not sharp enough. Execute. I'm startled by the sound of heavy paws landing in front of me, the blood briefly draining from my face. There you are. Ravi, did I just see you walking across open air? Was that you yelling? The fuck? Shit. I used the wall to push myself back up to my feet. Dad would say something like, never let people get too close, and conjure a story of the so absurd it might be true variety. Kavir and I are already way past the former, and I'm definitely not clever enough for the latter. Besides, I don't want to push Kavir away. You, what? What aren't you telling me? I think back to Yuri's lesson, instead. I feel a wash of calm from the memory, swallowing my fear as I observe Kavir's face. He seems confused, not worried, so he probably hasn't jumped any threatening conclusions. That makes sense. Kavir's a pretty grounded guy, so I've always been the more anxious of the two of us. Except when I'm mad, I guess. As I stand on the top of a crumbling high-rise with no climbing gear. Maybe I am reactionary and irresponsible. Ow! Kavir interrupts my thoughts by thumping my head. Frosty atmosphere to Ravi. Hey! Sometime before I freeze? Alright. I came across some new jazz tech. I just surprised myself a bit. Kavir groans. I knew it. You only challenged me to a race because you had some new gadget up your sleeve the whole time. I'm not fond of lying to Kavir, even if it was only a half lie. Because I do have a lot of new gadgets, just not on me, and not for this race. Which, in hindsight, would have been smart. I can't always rely on story time for emergencies, especially not with today's surprises. I resist a shiver. As if I could beat you without some kind of edge, which is true. And you're not gonna show me or tell me anything about it, are you? Nope. I grin brightly. Not yet, anyways. Sneaky shit. Fine. He lifts up his hands. I surrender. You win. What? Just like that? Hey. I made a mistake with his voice. Honest lead or no, you beat me up here. Just a few steps shy of the top. I'll take the L. But just this time. Honest, huh? I fold my arms and look away for a moment. He gently knuckles me in the chest, stepping back into my vision. His big hand grasps my shoulder. Why the frown? Ain't winning what you wanted? Unless you wanted to worship all this. He eyes the stairs leading to the building's roof. Come on. I'm not a complete idiot. I know you really just wanted someone to talk to. It's my turn to look surprised. How uncharacteristically intuitive of you. Okay, you don't have to say that. The snow tiger shrugs his broad shoulders and swishes his tail as he walks past me. The yellowish sash he always keeps tied to it nearly flicks my nose. I can't let you hog all the surprises, Grumplin. The bottom of the stairwell's dark. Kavir's tail baps me on the nose, and I grab it. I can barely make out his grinning face. Don't fall now. The stairs protest, but hold. As we approach the top, darkness quickly gives way to light. The door to the roof has long since disintegrated, with the light pouring in it so bright, even my hollow mask doesn't shade quickly enough. For a moment, I mistake the wind for a voice. My breath catches in my throat. It's not the entity this time. But there's no spooky hallway, just the roof and Kavir. I exhale, squinting as I join him. He slides an arm around my shoulders as I do. This looks familiar. The ruined city of San Leos is extensive. Essentially circular. The tallest buildings crowd in the middle and shorten the further out one goes, eventually fading into endless snow whipped up into dunes. I've only seen the ocean a few times in my life, but this always feels similar. The occasional cluster of ruined buildings or islands can be seen far out amidst the white, surrounded by hoary, foggy waves frozen in time. As the very tips of taller buildings, they hint at much more buried beneath powder and permafrost. So much more. An entire industry exists to explore it, provided one can get approval. Or not, if one wishes to live dangerously. So it's an old, dead cyberpunk city that's buried in ice, and they walk up top the ice that's maybe even a mile above the old streets or something. That's wild. Also just trying to see if I can recognize this. I don't know, there's a lot of... Let's clear this real quick. Joop. There you go. It's hard because we can't see faces, so there's an ambiguity. My first guess would be Dref as the artist? I don't know. An entire industry exhibited it. Well, more dangerously. Kavir prefers the legal side of danger. At least when it comes to ruineering. That one took me by surprise for a moment. Calm down with the loom pop-up. Can't stop every time, it'll kill the pacing. Hence, his business, Kavir's Expeditions and Enterprises, stitched on the back of his shoulder harness as KE&E. I'll never get used to this view. Oh, he's got a little wrap on his tail. Look at that. Even after living here all your life? What you mean? Well, it's just white on white, with a few embellishments. There's not that much to see. But there is. Don't go being a nearsighted city boy. It might just seem like endless snowfields, but the land here breathes. It changes. Between the winds and the snow, the jazz energy, and whatever other natural forces are at work, you'll never see the same landscape twice. Well, in a mechanical sense, I suppose that's true, since the dunes are always moving, but even so, it always looks... Oh, I said it wrong. Well, in a mechanical sense, I suppose that's true, since the dunes are always moving, but even so, it always looks pretty similar to me. Cold. Frozen. It's just a lot of white. So am I, and you like me well enough. This guy. You're more blue than white. I didn't say I hated it, you big Rothgar. I know. There's so many. No, stop it. Behave. But what about the beauty of it? It's just that everyone calls it the white like it's some kind of phantom waiting to make you disappear. Isn't it, though? People vanish out here all the time. Kavir shakes his head. Past the city's skyline, low clouds swirl along all of the visible horizon, white and gray, blurring along an indistinct terminus. Barring the occasional building or rock, that subtle distinction in color is the only way of knowing where snowfield ends and sky begins. It strains my eyes. People vanish because they're unprepared. They don't respect that you can't tame a landscape like this. You either act humble, or are humbled by it. Humble, huh? I elbow his side. That's been humble, huh? Because he's ego man. I elbow his side, and his hand finds my shoulder again, and he looks down at me. I'm serious. Yeah, it's kind of freaking me out a little. He chuckles. Sorry, it's just something that's been on my mind, is all. But I don't mean to make this about me. We're up here for you. He squeezes my shoulder. It's okay, Frost Fuzz. I can wait a little longer. What happened? He doesn't answer immediately. He sighs. Another ship's gone missing. The Midnight Star. I heard about it right before you called. The navigator's a good woman named Andali. We've done some jobs together. I pat his hand. You think this is related to that big storm a few days ago? Probably. I'm sorry. Were you close? Not personally, but that's not what this is about. Being a ruineer is dangerous work, Ravi. You know, charting new locations and exploring who knows what. So, all of us are involved. Sailors and adventurers, mechanics and the like. We all have a sort of professional understanding, even if we are competing for the same stake. Like a kind of family. I wouldn't go that far, but there's a certain amount of mutual respect. We listen to each other, because if we don't, people die out there. So what's the problem? Well, the reports all said normal overcast that day. The readouts all had this storm tracking north, right? Jazz Tech is pretty incredible stuff, but it doesn't always get the details right, especially when it comes to weather. Which, considering we're working with tech that's hundreds of years old, is understandable. So, what, you're saying this shouldn't have happened? It's not common to lose expeditions to bad reports, but it's not unheard of. More the problem is that I knew it was wrong. I felt it. I told Andali to tell her captain too. Wait, back up. You felt it? Your tail have a built-in barometer or something now? That what that sash is? I swatted it playfully. Sash. Kavir sighs and looks away. Even his tail droops. The captain didn't believe me either. Superstitious nonsense, he told Andali. Even with the understanding, there's a reason why you don't see many snow tigers around the docks. Folks don't put much stock in our feelings. Well, stall your claws, Fuzz. I didn't say I don't believe in you or your entire people. I just need a little more than it felt wrong. I knew it because I could tell that... Oh my god. Quethuento, I think, yeah. I knew it because I could tell Quethuento was upset about something. Quethuen who? Quethuento. Wait, the apostrophe is after, before the N? I don't know how to pronounce that way. He takes a breath and pinches the bridge of his nose. It's not something we talk about a whole lot. Outside of the clans. Well, okay. I don't know how helpful you expect me to be if it just sounds like you're making up words. I'm not from here, Kavir. I don't hold any weird prejudices about anyone. Prejudices that aren't deserved anyways. Kavir sighs again. People around here live by their tech, Ravi. They don't got much room in their heads for a whole lot else. Being as you're a tech head too, I just thought you might feel kind of similar. This is turning into a deeper conversation than I expected. I look around for a place to sit near the building's edge that appears relatively stable. I eventually find a large metal beam that somehow doesn't seem to have damaged the floor too much when it fell. Good construction, I guess. I know we agreed a while back not to talk too deeply about our past, Kavir, but maybe that ought to change. Sit with me. I can feel my dad's disapproval in spirit, and I don't care. I sit, gesturing for Kavir to join me. He does, returning his arm to my shoulders and pulling my bundled body into his side. I feel his warmth less than I'd like to. We simply sit there, in quiet for a few moments, snuggling together against the cold. Spirituality is everywhere back home. Like you, I don't like to talk about it a whole lot. But Rayan is a place where the people say everything has a story. Everything that has a story has a voice. I'm tripping up a little more now. We're an hour and it happens. If you annoy a familiar rock, or tree, or river by talking to it long and hard enough, it'll eventually talk back. I smile as I look at the horizon, warm but bittersweet. And up in Vakas, the Shradhasvar capital, they have a whole institution dedicated to philosophy of the soul. Temples and chanting and scriptures. Where do you think Yurla gets it all? I reckon I knew that already. She's pretty on the nose about her faith. But you, Ravi, you never seem to take much stock in it. Well, I don't. Not really. That doesn't mean there isn't some value in it. Bruises aside. I look back at him. The snow tiger hums. Doop-a-doop. Aside from a few sacred places where the jazz is rich, snow tigers mostly roam the snowfields and family clans, following the Helden herds. Do that long enough, you're bound to get to know a place. He taps his head. So trust me when I say what folks call the white is Quaethento. Quaethwento. I already forgot I said it before. Her name means something like the bright wind, or the shining breath. She's in the land, the air, and the jazz. A certain bizarre hallway suddenly springs to mind. How bright? I lift a hand. No, never mind. What kind of, spirit is she? She's not a spirit. He rubs his cheek. Well, not in the sense that she's metaphorical or nothing. She's energy. She's real. As in she's someone you can talk to? No. When you're far out, deep in the jazz, you can feel her. We call her the Great Grandmother. She has patterns and routines she likes, as well as moods you've got to manage. Especially when her routines get a lot of sorts, usually from outside influence. She gets real cranky then. Sounds like a spirit, Kavir. And that's what you felt a few days ago? Yeah, something was off. I could feel it in my spots and stripes. He reaches for his tail with his free hand, gently thumbing at the yellow sash. That's what I was trying to get at earlier. Andali trusted what I had to say, but the Midnight's captain didn't. It was bad form. Now, word on the docks is he was being pressured by the company to investigate something, and if he messed it up, they'd take the ship. So it probably wasn't personal, but even so, no ship is worth its crew. He shakes his head. It just feels so unnecessary. The great-grandmother don't care a whit about the company or its schedules. If he had just waited a day, things would have been fine. He looks up at the sky. Well, I'm at least sorry about Andali. It sounds like she was pressured to go too, even if she thought it was a bad idea. Well, I wouldn't count her out just yet. She's no snow tiger, but she's been navigating these lands for a long time. She understands the rules. Respect the great-grandmother, listen to her songs, and follow her lead when you dance. Do that, and she'll show you all kinds of wonders. Maybe even a safe harbor or two. I never took you for much of a dancer. Is that what you're doing when you're bouncing around these buildings or sailing around in powder ships? Dancing to snow music? Maybe I am. Is that so hard to imagine? I just smile at him. Besides, ain't you rely on all the time about listening to the emptiness and looking beyond the surface? Or whatever piece of scripture she's married to today? This is exactly why she doesn't like you. Impossible. I just haven't turned my charm yet. Besides, I respect her faith, even it just sounds funny sometimes. Yeah, I don't think that's going to win her over. Besides, I think she's only capable of liking 2 or 3 people at a time. I can be the third. Push you out. Sure. But you wanted to talk, and I made this all about me. So let me guess. Aaron, huh? I'm not sure I need to vent about my dad anymore, but it's probably for the best if Kavir's filled in. He doesn't want me calling him Dad anymore. Well, you can always call me. Stopping you right there. If you want to talk. You don't say. You can call me Daddy. Kavir laughs, the deep sound echoing off the building and probably down into the streets below. I smile in spite of myself. It's a nice change of pace. Seriously, though, what instigated this? I rolled my eyes. You did. Huh? Oh. He chuckles. I guess the invitation to join the crew didn't go over so well then. Shockingly, no. Well, you expected there to be some pushback. I sigh. Maybe even that was too optimistic. Well, golly gee, how dare you make attempts at independence? Okay, well, how did Uralai take it? Quietly. Okay, so that's like her natural state of being? Oh, no. I flick my hand out towards the snowy wastes. Like your great-grandmother out there, her quiet has an eerie spectrum of moods. So, this was a disapproving sort of quiet then. Like I said, she doesn't like you. Huh. Well, even if she's not the biggest fan of my work, I know Aaron likes me. I laugh a bit bitterly. I'm sure he does, in the same way he pretends to like everyone. Whoa there, Grumplin. First of all, I am impossible to dislike unless you're a beleaguered captain or a warrior nun made of salt and iron shavings. Second, you need to be more up. We're at one of the highest points in the city, and I need you to get with the ambience. What? frozen and windswept? And weren't you just Mr. Melancholy like 3 seconds ago? Couldn't say. Bad memory. Shifting his weight, the big snow tiger reaches over to with his free hand to tap the earpiece control of my mask. The translucent material fading to neon pixels that crumble into nothing. That was loud. My face is suddenly very cold. The fur of his knuckle drags down and tickles the side of my cheek. But it's not enough. I urge him to cup my cheek instead. Our fingers entangling. Vapor spills and swirls between us as he gently rests his forehead against mine. Tell me, what do you want, Rafi of Ryan? I close my eyes. I can feel his warmth. I just want to be free, you know? Of more than Kavir could possibly know. To live my life without restrictions. He slides both arms around me and presses his face closer. His breath. His strength. Then be free. Simple as that, huh? Observe. Consider. I exhale, shakily. Our faces are still close when I open my eyes and our gazes meet. Kavir's eyes have a golden brightness, distinct from the chilly coloring of his fur. Your eyes are the color of the sun. Are they? I guess you'd know best, being from a land where the sun ain't constantly in bed. He slowly pulls away and looks up, shading his eyes. Maybe I'll see this Ryan of yours someday. Maybe. He'd probably overheat. I'd overheat anywhere that doesn't have constant snow. He drops his hand and thumps his chest. I'm all fur, muscle, and antifreeze. I have seconds to live. No one for brains, huh? Nah, I'll just take yours. Come here. He hooks his arm around my head, squeezing me behind his bicep and his chest. I'm forced to breathe him in. He smells fresh and cool, just like himament. Why do you smell like you've rolled around a mountain garden? Do you like it? It's an odd combination of the distance and familiar. I associate so much of this place with Kavir, but himament fills the Shredesvar highlands. It's nice. But it might help you feel better. Maybe remind you of home. His fur tickles my nose. Sometimes the highland breezes would swirl so thickly with that scent, it would get all caught up in my sinuses and make me sneeze. There was really no escaping it for all the time we hid up there. Aaron, Uralai, and me, back before we fled to the west. How long was it? Just the three of us. We were so messy and complicated, and I was so often angry or afraid. I remember running away again and again. I breathed in Kavir. I'd always hide in the mint fields. Yeah, I smile. Again and again they'd find me. That's where we'd always figure things out. I'm definitely going to sneeze. It does. I elbow Kavir in the stomach. He grunts but releases me with a little smirk. What? Not in the mood today? The tingle fades, and I thoughtfully rub my nose. Yuri's words still echo in my head. It's time to figure things out. Just bad timing. I should be getting back. Oh. I guess. I lean forward. His face fuzz is soft against my lips. Thank you. I tap my earpiece. Ah. The holographic barrier glows into being, immediately warming my face, but not more than Kavir's fur. Don't sound so glum. I'm still joining your crew. Yeah? His ears perk. Yeah. I just think I should follow up back home, you know? Make an attempt at repairing things a bit, if I need to. Whatever our disagreements and flaws, I obviously care too much about both Dad and Uralai to let things stay awkward forever. I probably overreacted. You? Never. Careful, pretty boy. And to think I could have had you saying that all afternoon. I groan. In any case, I can get you home quickly enough. It just so happens I have a contact in the club tonight who you'll need to meet eventually anyways. So why not now? Oh? Who? What kind of contact? He shakes his head. I can't say. Then what, you want me to find them through mind reading? I place my fingers to my temples and make a face. We both know the real reason I asked you to join the company, Ravi. Yeah. Jazz running. What about it? Well, names are dangerous. We'll just call you Neo. The distinction between my legit expedition work as KE&E and the Jazz Running crew exists for that reason. We don't have to hide who we are to go out into the white. But if we're taking runner jobs in town, doing merc work invites unsexy attention is all. Your least favorite. True. Listen, I've worked with jazz runners before, Kavir. I know the risks. I thought we already had this understanding. Where do you think I get most of my tech clients? They're runners, or tech punks, usually both. I know. I just want to make sure you realize what I'm asking. Having you along on KE&D expeditions will be nice, but that's a secondary perk. The Jazz Running crew needs a tech head for jobs we got brewing, so that's what I really need. But I gotta make sure this one last time that you know what you're getting into. I'm aware you moonlight as a filthy thief, Kavir. This isn't news. Excuse you, I'm a dashing ruineer and relic acquisitor by day, jazz running treasure hunter by night. I never sleep. It's awful. I think you can only call yourself a treasure hunter if you're taking from the dead. I fold my arms. Well, they're dead inside. I roll my eyes. Like my patience. Come on. I wouldn't have drummed up all this family drama if I wasn't serious. As far as Dad and Yuri are concerned, I'm joining K&E, which is true. I'm just also here to be a jazz runner, which of course I won't tell them because then they'd really freak out. I exhale sharply. So, yeah, I know what's what. Kavir nods. Okay. So, now that we've cleared that up, why can't I get a name? Not even an alias? I just have to be delicate about naming people is all. Even aliases have power. You'll figure out who it is, I promise. He thinks for a moment. Just be discreet and listen. I squint. Do you even know what those words mean? Besides, we're literally alone on a ruined skyscraper. How much more remote do we need to be for shady talk? Much. But hey, I'm the successful businessman here. Just trust me, okay? I drop my arm and make a long, suffering sound. And I'm the tech head. There's no way anyone would be spying on us up here short of some kind of stealth drone. Those things exist? Cal preserve me. Not in your financial universe. I pinch the bridge of my nose. But, fine. Do you have an alias? Yes. I wait. And it is? I feel like this is the minimum I should know before meeting a mysterious contact and spilling the beans on your actual name. Please don't tell me I can know your real name and not your alias. It's not that. Kavir. Fine. It's nightlight. I cough. Nightlight, like the thing little kids. I didn't choose it. The snow tiger swats my rear with enough force I hobble. Hey. It's just that my eyes and fur pattern can fluoresce a bit, okay? It makes sense when you're out in the white at night, surrounded by jazz energies and need to blend in. I had a job once where I got noticed and the damn name stuck. How did I not know this about you? Kavir just grins. With you being on the jazz running crew, you'll be learning plenty more about me soon enough. Forward. He crouches down in front of me and gestures for me to climb on his back. You'll be needing to think of a name too. Try to keep Ravi to yourself, alright? That said, tonight's contact already knows who you are, so you got time to think on it. Is that safe? Me already being known? Trust me, you'd be hard-pressed keeping it secret in this case. But you're not in any danger. Just play along with whatever they say. Think of it as a test. He points to his back again. I lift my brows. What? Are you gonna carry me down? I said I'd get you home quickly. Alright. I clamber onto him. I feel like the man has a back wide enough for two of me, which leaves ample space for me to climb on. Nightlight. I whisper against his ear. He stands as if I weigh nothing, tapping at his bracer. An electric surge flickers through his harness, synchronizing with the jazz lines of the jacket. A moment later, I'm energetically adhered to his back. Is the electro-adhesion really necessary? In bed? I wiggle uncomfortably. Yes, because we're gonna jump. Excuse me? Music change. He tugs at his harness to make sure I'm secure and then experimentally unsheaths his claws. Those things can slice into steel. It'll be faster. I've got that glider module you made me. Besides, if anything happens, you got this fancy new piece of jazz tech you used before you walk on air, right? It'll be fine. Oh, fuck. About that, wait a second. That's not how it... He suddenly takes off towards the edge of the building, leaping into empty space. I scream. Somewhere, in the wind, I can hear him laughing. The sky, I swear. The air swirls as we hurtle towards a roof much further down. Hey! What? The air continues to roar past us. I'm gonna try that glider module now! What do you mean try? Have you not tested it yet? I was waiting for a good time. Kavir, you're gonna kill us. Nah, you wouldn't lead me on about tech, right? You always make quality. Just hold tight. The dumb snow tiger waves his wrist, the jazz tech bracer glowing. Its yellow holographic interface crackles to life. How does this work again? My stomach threatens to leave my body. Kavir! With a bellowed laugh swallowed by the wind, he taps the interface and suddenly we're jolted. Electric blues and purples flash. The jazz energies of the device flow wirelessly through Kavir's harness and sizzle a dazzling curtain into being above us, slowing our fall. But only for a moment. Wind buffets us, and suddenly the holographic curtain dissolves into pixels. What happened? The crosswinds are too strong. The snow tiger's heavy body hits the roof at an angle, and he rolls forward. My entire body tremors with the impact. The air is knocked out of my lungs. I bury my face against his shoulder and cling to him with everything I have. Hang on! No shit. All I feel is speed and motion. I lift my face just as Kavir hops over the roof's lip and swings through a lower, broken window. The floors here have disintegrated, but that doesn't stop him. I feel the blood empty from my face as he runs straight to the edge and dives into the abyss. I want to scream, but my lungs are still empty. A lower floor whooshes past us, then another. He opens his arms wide as we plummet. How are you feeling? He yells. He has to. The whipping air is thunderous. I try to suck it in and choke. Save that for later. His bracer interface flares to life again. The familiar light flickers above us. On and off. We jolt as our momentum is suddenly arrested, and we're tossed towards a metal support pillar. Claws out, Kavir latches onto it. The metal screeches as he rakes down its length. You're strangling me, Grumplin. You need to relax. Let me show you something. With legs like coiled springs, he violently leaps from the pillar. We sail out another broken window, and for a moment, we fly. In the cold void between buildings, time and gravity disappear. I feel lighter. Weightless. Free. My eyes begin to sting. In that moment of clarity, I finally remember how to breathe. I feel like the music should cut the moment he jumps to emphasize the feeling change before the narration hits the actual explanation of the feeling change. It's already happening at that point. Is this? Kavir's voice is clear, like a bell ringing through the morning fog. Freedom! Physics then comes rushing back. We plummet towards the earth. Kavir's arms outstretched as if to embrace the ground. Don't worry. I also cried my first time. His laughing surrounds us. I'm not crying. I'm laughing too. Diaphragm deep, soul-shuddering sobs of laughter. Then how about you start sobbing into my neck fur? No. The curtain again comes alive and we angle towards the smaller building across the alley. I purposefully keep my face half shoved into Kavir's fur, shielding my wind-dried eyes and gathering my wits. Holding on feels easier now. A swing of his legs, a tap of his wrist, and the curtain dissolves just as we lurch towards a wall. Kavir latches onto it with his claws, only to immediately leap from it. We repeat the same stunt a few more times. Leap, float, drop. Leap, float, drop. But always only for short bursts. It smells like showing off. But maybe... Yeah! Woo! Maybe it's simply joy. He glides into the clear section of a nearby alley, protected from the crosswinds. The electric curtain fades as his paws sink into the snow. You really enjoyed that, huh? I rub my swollen eyes. Always. He taps at his bracer a final time. With a brief surge of energy, I'm released from his harness. Show off. I box one of his ears. Do I at least get a kiss for it? I make an exasperated noise Irelai would be proud of, but don't actually slide off of his back. If he wants to perform, he can run me home, too. Take me to the club, you lug. I kiss the back of his head for the trouble. Love you, too. Aww. I think that's probably our stopping point for the day, for our preview. But yeah, this has been String Zero. Worth checking out. It's off to a really promising start, actually. So I just got back from Furry Weekend Atlanta. I always forget that it's weekend and not week. FWA, the FurCon. And I was in a few different rooms. Not really room parties, just kind of room gatherings and a pizza party and shit. And I was like, I looked around at one point, I'm like, Holy fuck! I have covered the visual novels that have been made by like 8 people here, or 8 novels made by these people, basically, like Rain Check, Liar, Clawstar Wrestling, Northern Lights, Arches, Remember the Flowers, probably more that I can't immediately think of because I'm bad at listing things off the top of my head, but it's like this is a little surreal. And there was, I think String Zero was like the one visual novel I hadn't covered yet out of the people in the room, so here we go, we've done it. I was served a mixed drink called Amicus Bathwater, which was, I think, was just lavender syrup and gin. It's not exactly complicated, but that was amusing. But anyway, furry conventions are fun, and when you go to them, you're very quickly just surrounded by people that make stuff. Like, that takes a lot of work, like this, and that's all neat to see. Speaking of which, this is off to, like, one of the best starts I've seen for the visual novels we've covered here, like definitely top 10%. I've said again and again that there's a struggle where I'll read each of these for like 1 to 2 hours, and you often struggle to even leave the first scene in that time because of how rough the pacing is at the beginning of these stories. And oftentimes you're playing a wounded person being taken care of by somebody in a bed by like a wolf, because that's a thing that people enjoy exploring as a moment. But sometimes the opening scene that's trying to simultaneously set up everything at once just has you sitting in one location and talking to one wolf the entire time. So this was a pretty strong introduction where we were introduced to Aaron and Yuri in addition to Kavir. So we learned about 3 other characters. We ourselves have our own character with our own history and our own stuff going on. We're not like a blank slate there. But we have a horror scene with the psychic jazz vision stuff, the story time. I actually don't know if story time is involved with jazz at all, because I don't fully know how jazz works yet. It's in the glossary, I'm sure, but there's a lot in there. But we got a horror scene with the hallway. We get an action scene with what just happened here. You have fan service with Big Muscle Man gets getting real comfortable with you. We have world building and lore. We have a cool setting. We have family drama and emotional baggage, and sort of like a little mini arc the protagonist goes through in this amount of time about them processing what they're going through here. We have intrigue with this threat that happened and the deaths that seemingly may have happened with the crew there, and we have the promise of becoming cyber criminals or whatever. So we have like a premise set up in the future. We have a setting set up. We have a lot of character development. Just so much going so quickly, but not in that any of it felt like rushed or like it's just rattling things off. Like, here's the bullet points of the stuff you're supposed to know. It's like, it's actually all really well handled overall. So that's all impressive. And then it's also doing that with music and all that. If you really want to home run it, you put in a CG of their faces smushed together when the visor's turned off, because that's how you really wrangle the fan service in the opening chapter. But I'm a sucker for being like, what if there was more CGs for everything? And you get a CG for the cool like action diving and everything. Just CGs for everything. Admittedly, visual novels benefit from front-loading CGs, even if they won't have that many throughout the thing, because you can pull people in. But I am such a sucker for wanting to have so many CGs in these games. I think I was talking to Paint Fox at FW, and we were talking about the idea of like, in some ways, like a nice way of doing a visual novel would be to not have sprites and just actually draw the scenes. And even if you just have one illustration for every scene, but you have to like have an in-house artist that draws relatively fast for that. So obviously not everyone is up for that kind of shit, because most of these don't make any money at all. Like, sometimes people think that people get into visual novels to like make a big income or something, like they're really profitable because you see so many of them and they seem popular, but the people who make the most popular visual novels are like doing it for poverty wages, generally speaking, and usually have another job. So that's not a thing that happens. So obviously preference and reality are in conflict. The real wild thing is why some games have a ton of art is because they just the writer is the artist and they're just like, fuck it, I'm just going, and that's always wild. But anyway, I'm just rambling now. You can check out the rest of this game via the link in the description to its itch.io page, or if it's missing for any reason, then you can look it up on itch.io. I'm not supposed to link to 18+ NSFW content on the internet in my descriptions, It hasn't come up usually, but specifically when in my video essay for Ad Astra, the link got removed by YouTube. Like, I guess when it hit a certain level of popularity, they forcibly removed the Ad Astra link because it was considered to be an inappropriate thing to link to, which is funny because you're doing a thing that's entirely art analysis of exactly the thing I'm not allowed to point people at. Like, they can't Google things. Oh well. So I don't know how that bot works. I was startled it existed at all. And then there's a link in the description also to my Let's Try playlist, which sometimes has an odd surprise game like Balatro or Hades 2, but it's mostly been furry visual novels because I've just kind of been enjoying just nestling deep into this particular niche for like the last 2 years and just doing this all the time instead of playing another indie platformer that other people probably covered anyway. I like that this is like, I like how often these are things that maybe nobody's covered before. That's fun. Anyway, thanks for watching like always, guys. See you next time. Gay.